Hey, what's up guys? John here. $200 trillion is needed to stop global warming. This is Bloomberg. This just came out. McKinsey is coming on saying that no, it's actually going to be $275 trillion. Now, many people hear these numbers, many people have an opinion. Opinions really don't mean that much. We look at what is actually happening. True fact, true law, what's really going on, how it's going to impact our finances. That's what we need to be really concerned about, and that's what we need to really pay attention to. Because a lot of people aren't looking at this and connecting the dots with real estate, with taxes, with travel. All of these things are about to change. In this video, I'm going to break it down for you clearly so you can see what the future looks like. Please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube is going to share this content to educate more people about what's actually going on in this economy. And today's video is sponsored by my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you and position you for what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer of all time. GreatCreditFast.com. You can go there, schedule a free strategy session. Now look at this. They're saying that they need to pull in $9.2 trillion, $9.2 trillion annually. And that's their projection. But BNEF suggests the annual green investment will need to be nearly triple to $6.9 trillion by 2030. Annual, right? And so when we're looking at this, America as a whole, federal government collected $5 trillion in revenue in fiscal year 2022. And the total annual receipts of the U.S. government added up to $7.34 trillion in U.S. dollars by 2023, first quarter. So we look at this, how are we going to contribute that type of money, right? That's essentially what their question is. How are we going to do it? So when we look at this, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be easy. And I believe it's going to be the greatest rug pull of all time. And the everyday American's not aware of just how aggressive this is actually going to be on their pockets. Take a look at this. So how to stop it. So you can literally just Google this, how to stop climate, right? And it'll say save energy at home, walk, bike, take public transport, eat more vegetables, consider your travel, throw away less food, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle, change your home source of energy, switch to an electric vehicle. Now this all sounds casual, it sounds optional. So people are like, okay, maybe I'll do it in my spare time, maybe I'll contribute a little bit. No. That's not what's actually gonna happen here. So take a look at this. So when we click here, we look at leadership, board of directors, right? Board of directors, Bloomberg right there. Same with this article, obviously. It's his publication. When we look at what is happening here, it's shocking. It is absolutely shocking. So go to energy and buildings, and it says implementing and enforcing building energy regulations and mandatory performance standards for existing buildings, right? Including measures to reduce embodied emissions in buildings and benchmarking a whole life cycle emissions, incentivizing implementing citywide actions towards grid decarbonization. So this marks this right here, saving energy at home. Walk, bike, or take public transit. The world's roadways are clogged with vehicles, most of them burning diesel or gasoline, walking or riding a bike instead of driving or reducing gas emissions, right? Now, when you look here and you go just to what we do, then you go to air quality, then you can scroll down here, and it will literally say vehicles, bus, fleet, electrification programs promoting walking and cycling, achieving universal waste collection to reduce open burning waste, phasing out fossil fuel technologies, heating and cooking, expanding green spaces, implementing policies and programs to reduce local air pollution emissions from the residential, transport, and industrial sectors. So you're going to start to see this massive push towards electrification of vehicles. In California and many other locations, by 2035, gas vehicles are completely banned. You won't be able to get them. You won't be able to drive them. When you're looking at these other things right here, eat more vegetables. Eating more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, right? It says producing plant-based foods. That's what their goal is, plant-based. Less meat, right here, less meat. You go here and you click on, we'll go to a random city. You go to, let's go to Chicago, right? We'll go to Chicago. We'll look at View City Profile. You can click on Accelerator, or you can actually go to Networks and you go to Food Systems, and it will say right here, Promoting regenerative urban agriculture to increase food security, decrease production of emissions, and close yield gaps. Food waste. Addressing food loss and waste to facilitate the recovery of redistribution of foods for people in need, and also implement solutions for reuse of food waste. Transforming social and physical environment that affect the types of food available within neighborhoods, the affordability of food, and the nutrition information that people have access to. This includes marketing, encouraging better food consumptions. And right here, align food procedures to planetary health diet. Planetary health diet matches exactly here, eating more vegetables. Consider your travel. Airplanes burn large amounts of fossil fuels. Now you go right here. Booming airline traffic could force carriers to buy carbon offsets as early as 2024. So, rising airline traffic is expected to trigger global emissions related to requirements for some carriers as early as next year, according to a top airline trade group, even as debate broadens on the effectiveness of the approach. The UN-led scheme seeks to cap emissions for international flights at 85% of 2019 levels under the first phase of its carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation, Corsica, beginning next year. That threshold is expected to be crossed sometime within 2024 on current traffic recovery. Carriers in the first phase could purchase offsets as early as that year, with international travel expected to rebound to near 2019 levels. Combating aviation pollution is key in the fight against climate, as the industry generates roughly 3% of global emissions. Although Corsica's first phase is voluntary, airlines from participating countries follow it. Corsica becomes mandatory in 2027. Mandatory in 2027. So you go back here and you start to look at this: throw away less food, reduce, reuse, change your home's energy source. And I mean, the more you start to look into this, you'll start to see recycle at least half of your home's waste. How does one reduce homes, right? Exactly right what they have here. But here's something fascinating nobody's talking about, and how this is all going to start to really move forward. Because sure, carbon offsets with travel and some solar and stuff like that. Maybe some people could imagine that, but a lot of people can't imagine this. So, property taxes and climate. With the potentially devastating impacts of climate in mind, some states and countries are looking to property taxes as a way to fund climate initiatives. For example, in Washington state, the Olympia Finance Committee will reportedly soon consider several tax proposals to generate funds for climate. Among them is proposed property tax increases where a 1-cent increase per 1,000 of assessed property value could, according to Olympia Climate Program's estimate, generate about $117,000 a year to help fight climate. A 10% 1,000 of assessed property value increase could generate about $1.17 million in revenue per year. A 20-cent per 1,000 of assessed value could generate an estimated $2.34 million. Olympia has a goal to reduce regional greenhouse gas emissions 45% below 2015 levels by 2030. By 2050, the city wants to be 85% below 2015 levels. Now, in locations such as Florida and Texas, you have homestead exemptions, and this allows a cap on your property taxes. So certain areas, will be hit harder than others, but everyone has to pay very, very close attention, because it's going to be a massive tax grab over the next couple of years. Massive. I mean, look at this, for example. Biden's new tax proposal, minimum 25% tax on wealth over $100 million. Now, many people are going to run out and say, eat the rich, and the rich need to pay their fair share. The rich have, let's just look at pure facts. They have legal teams and tax teams that will run circles around basically every traditional accountant in this country. And so because of that, they have international tax planning. They're not just going to H&R Block. These people, they're wealthy for a reason. They're very smart. And what they're going to do is not pay, 25% of their $100 million annual income to the government. That I can almost guarantee you. They also want to, Biden's 2023 federal budget is a 20% levy on households with the same wealth applying to total income, including regular earnings of so-called unrealized gains. Unrealized gains, imagine that. Being taxed unrealized gains. But that's what's going to start to happen. I think a lot of people don't understand where we're actually headed. We're headed into a very, very high taxed type of environment where certain businesses are going to do a lot better than others, and certain businesses are going to get hit a lot harder than others because of not just the tax implications, but also a lot of these new changes that are going to be coming, like this: decarbonization of international shipping. So if you have a small business and you're bringing in products from China or India or other locations, there's going to be additional costs that are going to be incorporated into that purchase going forward. Decarbonizing international shipping. Greenhouse gas emissions from the shipping sector are significant, increasing, and incompatible with limiting global temperatures rise to 1.5 Celsius. If shipping were a country, it will be among the 10 largest emitters. As part of greenhouse shipping challenges highlighted in the last year's MEF leaders meeting, countries, ports, and companies offered more than 40 concrete announcements at COP27 on the steps that they are taking to decide to help out the shipping sector on a path to align with the 1.5 Celsius goal. In July, the International Maritime Organization will adopt a revised IMO greenhouse gas strategy to accelerate efforts to decarbonize shipping. Today, President Biden will ask leaders to join the United States in supporting the IMO's adoption of 1.5 Celsius aligned goals for the sector, including a goal of zero emissions for international shipping no later than 2050. So they're going to continue moving in this direction. So when we look at back here, at buildings, right? Your home's energy source, there's going to be taxes, but it's also going to be things like this. So 3 states enact integrated plans to decarbonize buildings. So you go right here. Massachusetts is taking steps to plan these energy investments. It's new law. An act driving clean energy and offshore wind requires greater building efficiency, including mandatory energy usage reporting for buildings larger than 20,000 square feet. Now, many people might say 20,000 square feet, that's huge. A 15-unit apartment building, let's just call each unit 800 square feet, 1 bedrooms, with common area, entryways, fire escapes. You consider stairways for fire exits. You start to really look at that. That's probably 23,000 square feet. And so for that to actually go through and this new energy upgrade, it's going to be very, very costly. Where are those costs going to get pushed onto? The property owner. And what are the property owners going to do? They're going to push it onto the tenant. That's plain and simple, right? But we're going to start to see so many curveballs around this, because what I think is ultimately going to happen is these energy upgrades are going to be so expensive that you're going to start to see a lot of property owners develop or just demolishing and redeveloping their properties in accordance with 2050 standards, because every single year it's going to get worse. So there's going to be more and more upgrades. So many, I believe, developers and investors, that's what they're going to do. They're going to start demolishing and rebuilding to those standards, which is necessary first step to implementing building performance standards in the future, passed by a state legislator on July 31st. The law requires utilities to submit plans for improving transmission and distribution systems so that the grid can be more reliable and resilient while accommodating the shift to renewable generation. Massachusetts will allow municipalities to begin pilot programs that may prohibit the use of fossil fuels in new energy buildings. Expecting a shift away from gas starting in 2025, Massachusetts will eliminate incentives for new fossil fuel equipment except for backup thermal energy source and heat pumps. The state will also offer research and grants to promote the use of ground source heating pumps systems, which will take advantage of more consistent underground temperatures, making them more efficient air source heat pumps. Now, Maryland, same exact thing. You start to look at other states. New York is doing this right here. Same exact thing. This came out 3 days ago. Looming climate law has co-op and condo owners fretting about funds to retrofit buildings. Property owners with lower or fixed incomes are scrambling to fund renovations to comply with the city's climate law that requires buildings to reduce their carbon emissions. They say the city has not provided viable financing options or explained that mitigating factors could ease potential noncompliance penalties in the law set to take place in just 6 months. Local Law 97 passed in 2019 will apply beginning in January to almost all buildings of 25,000 square feet or larger, running the gamut for schools, multifamily homes, hospitals, and distribution centers. The law's intent is to address climate by forcing buildings, which are the city's biggest polluters, to reduce carbon emissions by lowering them 40% citywide by 2030 and 80% by 2050. Then Mayor Bill de Blasio signed the law as part of the Green New Deal, calling it the strongest city policy in the world to cut greenhouse gas emissions from buildings. But the administration tasked with implementing the law, under which buildings will have to submit a report on emissions by May 1st, 2025, and then annually, is still working out how to do that. So you start to look at this. We're walking into massive change. massive change. And smart and savvy investors, they're paying very close attention to all of this. They're looking at their business models, how their business models are going to be impacted, what businesses are going to do very, very well. Because you're going to witness some industries stepping forward, and they're going to step into a windfall of cash because there's going to be so much change happening structurally to our economy. Some businesses are going to do really, really well, like solar and other industries, but most businesses are going to get really hit hard. So my advice, fix your credit, position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer of all time. Make sure you have high interest rate consumer debt, get a really, really good accountant, and save as much money as you can, get in the right business, and yeah, crazy, crazy times. What do you think about it all? Drop below, hit the like button, add me on IG. And again, if you need help fixing your credit, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. Catch you in the next one.